The second morning in Foster City, finding the Cavalier ascending the El Camino Real, a recrudescence to San Francisco, another adventurous day for the Wilson family and Gary's rumination with the North Bay. Fisherman's Wharf, still a vista of maritime presence in a historic chronicle of the city's nugatory endeavor. Arriving at Pier 39, the Cavalier finding a statutory residence on Beach Street, an abbreviated distance to the beckoning fanfare of the various enunciated proclamations. Gary, having traversed this wonderland many times before, guiding them on Jefferson Street to the Hyde Street Pier, moored at rest in the water was the majestic Balclutha, its presence beckoning an open invitation to come aboard. The square-rigged whaler was built in 1886, its presence still communicating a residency of a bygone era, and within it, an essence of consciousness still remaining of the brazen able-bodied sailors, the generation who encountered the sailing vestiges of the sea. Continuing on with a tour of the schooner Sea Thayer, a lumber-bearing wind-driven vessel of seagoing worthiness built in 1895 near Eureka, California. Before them a familiar sight for Gary, at berth the Eureka, a member of the Richmond-San Rafael ferry boat fleet. An anamnesis from Gary's past, the ferry having spent decades traversing the bay, its labor providing an automotive avenue to Marin County, its tenants bypassing the two San Francisco iconic bridges. Gary's remembrance of the Eureka on the bay, the onshore ocean breeze buffeting him on the deck of the gallant carrier, the ferry's presence a reminder of the nostalgic memory of his youthful quintessence. The decommissioned submarine Pampanito was solace in the water, a veteran of the Second World War, commissioned in 1943 with a complement of 10 officers and 70 enlisted men, receiving a complement of 6 battle stars, a monument to those submariners having given their all during battle in the Pacific. Gary, perceiving a tempestuous atmosphere when boarding the battle-tested submersible, a consciousness of immortality reigning from its past duty-bound participation. Descending into the bowels of the vessel, the family experiencing the circumscribed quarters the crew endured, the captured ambience of the surroundings, giving all who boarded a new perspective of the endurance of a submariner and their dedication. The Blue and Gold Bay cruise casting its mooring at Marine Terminal 41, the family having been entertained by a gathering of pigeons who conveniently gathered at the first toss from Robert and Sandy's popcorn bags. Once aboard, the family experiencing the onshore breeze that cascaded through the entrance aperture of San Francisco Bay as they passed beneath the Golden Gate Bridge. Its brisk, breathtaking coercion giving connotation to all who have passed through this gateway portal to the affable world beyond. Gary again sensing the aura, the bouquet of the bay, the tidal breath aspiring through the Golden Gate, the dampening wind engulfing him and son Robert, the only ones to stand at the bow. Once again engendering a faction of his youth, an anamnesis of a buoyant memory still able to experience a childhood recognition of acclamation. The island of Alcatraz drawing near, known earlier as La Isla de los Alcatraces, the island of the Pelican, the 47 acres being named by Spanish explorer Juan Manuel de Ayala in 1775. Acquiring its modern-day notoriety in 1934 under the jurisdiction of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, incurring a reputation as a staunch symbol of discipline for 29 years, gaining the callous name, The Rock. The Bureau of Prison, with a softening of juridical prudence and increasing budget cost, closed its doors in 1963. A 19-month occupation by a fractal group claiming to be Native Americans in 1969 caused major damage to the landmark before being removed in '71. The Golden Gate National Recreational Area acquired the island and opened it to the public the following year. Gary found the skyline of the city by the bay as observed from the Bay Cruise aquatic vessel, a panorama vestige of prominence and heritage. Tony Bennett, having painted a lyrical melodious picture with the iconic song, "I Left My Heart in San Francisco, High on a Hill It Calls to Me. To be where little cable cars climb halfway to the stars, the morning fog may chill the air." The family, quiescent as the blue and gold floating appliance edged itself within the brine-covered pilings that rose like a benevolent corral, the crew brandishing the securing rigging, a gangway in place, the peregrinations fulfilled. The family deciding on luncheon meal at Alioto's, Gary in years past having been introduced to an aquatic delicacy native to California, the sand dab, a seasonal delight in the spring and summer months. Upon satisfying their appetite, the San Francisco quest traversing onto the pedestrian-filled Jefferson Street, which played host to the enterprising businesses and many street entertainers. Gary, having lost his status as a visitor years ago, introduced his family to the renowned Ripley Believe It or Not Wax Museum, a tour acquainting them with the life-size wax replicas of individuals of historical prominence. Continuing down Jefferson, approaching Hyde Street, the clanging of a bell drawing their attention, it was the Beach and Hyde Street turnaround for the applauded cable car. Securing their tickets, the family finding a position in the very front, Robert standing on the running board, leaning out, a glee expounding from him as the trolley proceeded up the steep incline, then descending to the Powell and Market Street turnabout. The family remounting the car for the return excursion to the Beach and Hyde Street conclusion. A final objective before the resolute return drive to Foster City, Chinatown. During his youthful years, Gary having ventured through almost all areas of the city, but never had a purpose for an in-depth exploration of the realm known as Chinatown. Grant and Stockton Street, extending 8 blocks, was the designated tourist path to explore Oriental expenditures. Open outside markets stocked with varieties of fish and meats stayed on ice, fresh vegetables, fruits, and endless shops of clothing, knickknacks and trinkets, the sidewalk filled with a multitude of visitors, an everyday occurrence. Jan continuing to enjoy the emporium and boutiques, but with the family noting signs of fatigue and the sun giving notice of the lateness of the hour, they were ready to frequent the car and depart for Foster City, a farewell to the city by the bay, a memory forever inscribed, their expectations having been fulfilled.